Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to do some more examples of the normal distribution. So let's just read the problem and make our curve and answer some questions. Given an approximately normal distribution with the mean of 175 and a standard deviation of 37, draw a normal curve and label 1, 2, and 3 standard deviations on both sides of the mean. Okay, so I know you guys know how to do this. You can pause the video and take your time doing it and then take a look at my answers if you would like. So I'm going to add 3 times and take away 3 times. That's typically what we do for a normal distribution. When I add 37 to 175, I get 212. If I add 37 to 212, I get 249. And if I add 37 to 249, I get 286. If I take 37 away from 175, I get 138, 101, and then 64. Let's fill in some of these numbers. Do you guys remember what goes right here and right here? Say it to yourself, 34%. Do you guys here and here? 13.5. 2 and 2 and 0.5 and 0.5. Great, that makes 100%. Now these are standard percentage. What percent of values are within? Let's try letter A. Letter B. What percent of values are between 138 and 212? Well, maybe I should say this is 0, 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, 3 standard deviations away. -1, -2, -3. Well, in this case, 138 to 212 is within 1 standard deviation. And we know within 1 standard deviation, it's going to be 68%. Letter C. What about 101 to 249? Let's see, 101 to 249. Well, that makes 2 standard deviations away. Do you guys remember 2 standard deviations away? 95%. What about 64 to 286? 99.7% or just 99% is fine for now. Okay, so now that's letter D. So we're done with A, B, and C, and D. So we're done with this and this. Now we're on letter E. 138 to 212. What percent of values fall outside? Outside, not within, outside 138 to 212. So here's 138. Here's 212. That makes 68%. So letter E is 1 minus 0.68. Okay, so that's 0.32. So 32%. Or you could say 100% minus 68% makes 32%. Letter F, what falls outside 101 to 249? So here's 101 to 249, that's 95%. So letter F would just be 5% because it's 100% minus 95%. And finally, what percent of values are outside the interval 64 to 286? Okay, so we're going to say that's either 1% because this is 99%. But if you remember as 99.7%, then it's just going to be 0.3%. The great thing about the next video is I'm going to use the calculator to find all of the values, not only that fall on this line here, but the ones that don't fall on these lines. So that's really, really important for us to do, and we can only do it with a calculator. So that's our next video. But let's try one more example before we go. An IQ test is normally distributed with a mean, remember guys, mu, and a standard deviation of 15. Just by knowing the mean and the standard deviation, we can answer the following questions. Between what two values do approximately 68% of the IQs fall? Now, 68% means that you're going to add 1 standard deviation and take away 1 standard deviation. So if you take 100 and you add and take away 15, well, you're going to come up with this interval that's going to be 85 to 115. Why? Because this says 100 minus 15. That gives you what we call our lower bound, and 100 plus 15, which is 115. Because 68% is one standard deviation away. So this answer is going to be 85 to 115. In the next example, it says between what two values do approximately 95%? That's two standard deviations, which means that you're going to have to add 15 twice. So you're going to have to add 15 and then add it again, and then you're going to have to take away 15 and then take it away again. Or you can say 2 times 15 is 30. Isn't it true that if you add 30, adding 30 is equivalent to adding 15 twice, and taking away 30 is like taking away 15 twice? So that's going to be 70 to 130, because that's going to be 100 plus 30, 100 minus 30. So that's these two numbers. So that's your answer here. 99.7% is 3 standard deviations. So if you add 15 3 times, that means you're basically adding 45. And if you take away 15 3 times, you're taking away 45. So if you add 45, you get 145. If you take away 45 from 100, you get 55. Okay, sorry about the color. Now, that's all done. I'm going to just erase this here. And it says what percent. Okay, so now they're talking about percentages. I should have drawn my normal curve like we should always do. Let's get a different color. 100 is the average. That goes straight down. That's 115 because I'm adding the standard deviation 3 times. And then I'm going to take it away 3 times. So that's going to be 85, that's 70, and that's 55. We know that this is 34% and this is 34%. We know that this is 13.5 and this is 13.5. 2.5.5. So this question says what percent of IQs are less than 115? 115 is right here, and we want less than it. Don't we know that this is 50%, right, guys? Everybody, this is 50%, because it's halfway. Plus 34%, so that's going to be 84%. What percent of IQ scores are greater than 130? Well, here's 130. That's going to be 2 and 0.5, which is 2.5%. What percent of IQs are less than 85? Less than 85 is here and below. That's going to be 16%. Take your time, pause the video, add up all the percentages, and make sure that you really understand this. Come back for the next video where I'm going to show you how to use the calculator to figure out numbers that are not on this line. Like, for example, if I said, what percent of IQ scores are less than 60? Well, we're not allowed to cut this exactly at a place and figure out the percentiles. So we're going to need a calculator to figure out less than 60 or more than 125. So come back for that video. Take care.